Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new Hypotheticals podcast. Just so you know, I am trying out some recording stuff. I'm currently recording from my laptop just so I can use this beautiful microphone. So my laptop is actually weird, and the camera, for some reason, is at the bottom of the screen. So if I ever look up like this, it's because I am looking at my screen. I'm not staring into the abyss. It's just my camera's in a weird place. So today's hypothetical question I had, and I was thinking of this while I was at work. And so I was just chilling at work and I was thinking, what's a good first hypothetical question to ask on the podcast? Well, then I started just thinking, and I'm like, flying cars. Now, that's interesting. And when I think flying cars, I automatically think to like Back to the Future and everything that happened with the DeLorean and everything like that. And then I just started thinking more, and it went back to as far as a few years ago when I saw on Yahoo News that a Dutch company they actually designed and a working flying car. And basically it was kind of the front end of a car and then the rest of it was like a helicopter. And more recently actually there has been some test flights of a flying car and those are more so a plane just with a car body. And apparently those test flights have been fairly successful from what I've heard. So, with that said, I'm not here to get into the whole uh why you should buy a flying car thing or like I'm not here to give details on flying cars. But that leads us into our first hypothetical question on this podcast. And it's what if we had flying cars in today's world? And I feel like this is just a very interesting question because in the 1980s, going to 90s, when Back to the Future was made, I'm pretty sure that's what people thought the future would be. Just jetpacks, flying cars, everything floating. And as cool and as funny as that sounds, I don't know if it's completely realistic. So I just want to kind of break that down because I just find that kind of hysterical. So, in Back to the Future, if you've ever watched it or remember it, believe when they're flying, uh, the highways are like in the air. So basically, the air is one big highway. Like they have two different lanes of traffic going both direction. Think they might even have traffic lights up there. I don't remember. It might have just been a highway, so no traffic lights. But still, and also they're cars, so they're going both directions. They can turn. Believe they can go backwards as well. So that's kind of what I want to break down as well. Because first off, wow, English. First of all, flying cars. Um, today's flying cars, at least, they're modeling them after airplanes. Helicopters, yes, they can go backwards, but airplanes can not go backwards. So that's kind of a first problem if we had them in today's world. They just wouldn't be able to go backwards. So that is one thing. And another question I wonder if we did have flying cars, how would that necessarily work? Like we're talking about today's world. So obviously it wouldn't be Back to the Future where we have floating stop signs or traffic lights. As amusing as that would be, just imagine seeing a floating traffic light, looking up, seeing how amazing this huge, giant piece of technology is floating in the air, and then it malfunctions and crashes and falls out of the sky. That would just be amazing. Now, with that said, how would it work in today's world where, let's say, everyone does have a flying car and they are technically modeled out of after airplanes? Well, from a realistic standpoint, I don't know how realistic that would be if everyone had a flying car, because I feel like then we would have to treat them like airplanes. So you would have to have flight patterns and all this different air traffic control. Now, with that said, they might be able to create more jobs in the flight field or whatever that field's called. I forget the word for it. But they might create more jobs, opening up jobs for more air traffic control people. But with that said, like, then we'd have to see with all the planes are going, like, it's not like the air's the road. You need actual instructions to kind of fly in the air so you don't crash into people or things. Um, like airplanes, they have people tell them, "Hey, you got a plane here, maybe don't hit them." That would be great. So I feel like we would need that for flying cars as well, because yeah, why not? We don't want more people to die. And also, like, it makes you question. So we also live in a current world where we are trying to transition into more electric cars as well. But I'm pretty sure the cars that they're experimenting with now, the flying cars at least, still contain gas. So with that said, and I'm not going to be like, I'm not getting political and be like, oh, it's bad for the environment. More, more pollution, yay. No, that's not, no, not going there. No. That, I'm more so thinking as you have a flying car. Now, as a person who owns a car, gas, that is one thing. So, gas, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I am. Uh, I tend to let my car get to about a quarter of a tank. Now, sometimes I'll see how far I can push it before having to gas it up, especially with gas prices recently. You just want to get every drop of gas you can. So, now we are saying if we had flying cars in today's world, what it would be like. Well, if we are doing that, I feel like it could be interesting because it would be so cool to see a flying car, right? Just to see that thing fly over your house. It would be so beautiful and majestic. And then it's flying over your house and it runs out of gas, and now it's landing in your house, and now it's in your living room. And now you have a jet like car sitting in the middle of your living room. So that is a thing. And I feel, as a hypothetical podcast and a question, we have to think of the best and worst case scenarios. And a flying car landing on your house because it runs out of gas because people is a thing. Now, with that said, on a more serious note, if we were to have flying cars in this society, I don't think it would be real. Like, I don't think it can be completely realistic. I think that if anything, it might it might not cause more chaos, but I feel like they would have to operate more like an airplane because, like I said, Back to the Future, like the wheels, like they fold out and they hover you up and down, and You can move left and right. They're really they make it seem really agile, but we're designing them in real life more like an airplane. And as we know, airplanes, it's not like that. So I feel like if we did have flying cars and they did become more common, it would just be more like an airplane that you could fly on the road. Now, I don't think you could take off on the road. I think there are rules to that. There should be if that ever happens, because the last thing I want is to be stopped at a red light and then all of a sudden I just hear jets going off in the background and just some car decides to take off next to me, and then because of the jets on the car just like pushes me forward and causes everyone to get into an accident. So I feel like there would be limitations, for sure, when it comes to that. And I feel like when we do create flying cars, or once they do like more common, I feel that they would probably operate out of an airport or something like that. And maybe not, maybe if they are street legal, there might be restrictions on them. But I'm very interested to see what the future holds with these flying contraptions, because I that could be extremely entertaining. And I thought this was a good question to open the podcast with. It's actually kind of relevant too, because like I said, they are currently testing flying cars and having successful test flights. So it's just very interesting. It's just very interesting to see how technology and our world has advanced in certain aspects. With that said, this has been the first episode of the Hypotheticals podcast. If you want, you can watch the old episodes from the P&A podcast too. I'll keep those up on this channel as well. I hope that you enjoy this content. Please look for more content to come. This is kind of just a trial run. I'm doing this one by myself. I want to have some with a few people too. Maybe I'll just continue to do some podcasts on my own as well. And when I have friends available, I'll add them on when the time comes. So, with that said, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like and subscribe. And I also follow us on Instagram as well, because why not? Similar content will be uploaded there, as well as updates, as well as stay updated on the YouTube channel as well. Also, like I said in the beginning, my laptop records weird, so this is not a permanent setup. This is just the trial run to see how things go, and I'm just testing things out. I will upload this even though it looks weird, or if I'm looking like to the side, or it seems like I'm looking straight at my screen like right now and it looks like I'm just staring off into space. I'm not. I'm focused. This is me. I am here. Okay? My podcast, my show. I looked at my screen again and I just did it again. So see, this is a problem, but I'll get it fixed. I'll probably get a webcam or something. Um because this is quite frankly annoying, just staring at a blue light at the bottom of my screen, looking at all the numbers and keys on my keyboard. So, with that said, thank you for watching this episode of the Hypotheticals podcast, and I'll see you next time. Peace.